Nancy Mace, the Republican Congresswoman, who has been in the headlines for many reasons. I'll show you one of them in a little while, but she's running for governor now in South Carolina. That would be disastrous for South Carolina. She is on the forefront of the dumbest of culture wars, which means she prioritizes clickbait, social media, relevance over substantive policy issues that improve the lives of Americans or South Carolinians. And so she got confronted by a reporter, and this is a very common, if you're just now getting into politics, this is something that happens constantly, so get ready. And it happens way more with Republicans than the other way around. Democrats will pass a bill. Republicans will call it socialism and terrible, and it's going to destroy the world, and it's going to make all the kids trans. And it's like an infrastructure bill, right? And if we build that bridge, Jimmy is going to become Jane, is their argument. And so they all vote against it because they can't support anything Biden did. And then they have to go campaign. And they're like, well, shoot, what have I done while I'm in Congress? Nothing. I've opposed every single substantive policy improvement that Democrats propose. And so then they take credit for things that were in bills they voted against. And they'll say, I brought all these funds to South Carolina. It was so great. And then you'll go, wait, but that was in this case, I think it's the Inflation Reduction Act, something that Nancy Mace voted against and only Democrats voted for. And then they have this weirdly patched together reasoning. In her case, a lot of the reasoning was, you Democratic loser, to the reporter, who herself is a woman. And then Nancy Mace starts accusing the reporter of being a liberal and a woman hater. It's like, whoa, that went off the rails very quickly. So I'll show you the clip that was posted, and it was kind of circulating. And then, in all fairness, Nancy, I'll show you the full extended cut of what she argued. Oh, let me unmute this.
One of the accomplishments, things you were touting was the I-5 2016 interchange.
Mm-hmm. What was the exit at Long Point Road?
Yes.
Not the interchange, but yeah.
But that funding came from the Inflation Reduction Act, which you voted against.
Right.
Is that an accomplishment? Is that something you can tout?
No, absolutely. Absolutely I can tout that. And you're a raging Democrat, so raging leftist with that kind of questioning. And I would say, as a woman, you might want to think about how you view other women and how you treat other women, the way that you question them, because women are going to lead this country off the brink, and conservative women
off the brink. Women are going to lead this country off the cliff. It's like, wait. I don't know why this is so dumb. I just picture Nancy being like, someone standing on the edge of a cliff, and she's like, I got you. Wow. Dark, grim. Click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show. It would be absolutely wonderful, and I appreciate it beyond what you could possibly comprehend.
Women are going to lead this country off the brink, and conservative women. The first female president of this country is going to be a conservative woman, not some liberal like you.
Okay, again, just a question about the bill, whether you voted for it or not.
Now, Nancy Mace has been doing this a lot. I guess she's insecure because obviously women voters are voting much more for Democrats, and Republicans, for very good reasons, are accused correctly of implementing policies that are bad for women and just bad for people, but like with reproductive rights, for example. So then she tries to flip the playbook. So she's very Twitter-brained. And she's thinking, oh, these liberals, they can't handle if you accuse them of what they accuse you of, right? So she's thinking, oh, the libs accuse the Republican Party of being anti-woman or racist. And so now in engagements, I'm going to shut them down by going, well, you must hate women if you're asking me about the bill that I voted against and that I'm taking credit for. I guess assuming that the reporter would be like, what, women, sorry, pure liberal instinct will make them go, well, no, I'm not misogynist. It's fine. Well, that's not, people can tell when you're using that completely cynically, which is how you're using it there. That's totally, why'd you vote against this bill that did a bunch of good things, and then now you're running a campaign trying to take credit for one of the projects that it made possible? Where in there was the misogyny? Nowhere. But here's the extended version. We can let her tell her full story.
Raging leftist with that kind of questioning.
Oh, whoopsie. That's the ending of it. Let's see. Let's see here. Where was this question? Let's go here.
It's throughout we've done 4 so far this year, and we're going to continue to do them like I always do.
You I noticed up there one of the accomplishments, things you were touting was the I-5 2060 interchange.
What was the exit at Long Point Road? Yeah, not the interchange, but yeah.
But that funding came from the Inflation Reduction Act, which you voted against.
Right.
Is that an accomplishment then? Is that something you can tout?
No, absolutely. I mean, absolutely I can tout that, because we'll often argue over how much money is spent, how much money is wasted, and the vast majority of the funding in that bill was completely wasted, particularly in the infrastructure bill that was $1.2 trillion. We only had $110 billion dedicated to roads and bridges in that particular bill. Of that $110 billion, only $70 billion was for public transit, leaving only like $40 billion for roads and bridges across every state in the country, which is outrageous, right?
That makes sense. It wasn't titled the Roads and Bridges bill. It was the infrastructure bill. There's more than just roads and airports, transit, clean and reliable drinking water, broadband. There's other things to invest in just in roads and bridges.
And South Carolina in the infrastructure bill only got an extra $1 billion over a 5-year period. So we fight over how we spend the money, how we appropriate it. But once the appropriations happen, I'm going to make sure that South Carolina, that we get our fair share, because that money's getting spent, and our tax dollars in South Carolina are equal to anybody else's in California, New York, Tennessee, anywhere else, North Carolina. We deserve that too. So just because...
So let's keep breaking this down piece by piece. That's almost not true. Now, yes, your tax dollars in the sense that like one USD is one USD across the country. All right. And I love the people of South Carolina. No one knows the people of South Carolina like I do. No one has had the types of discussions with South Carolinians that I've had. I know their spirit, I know their heart, I know their soul, really. And that's why I'm running for it. No. But it's not actually true that it's the same as California. Because when California is receiving investments in projects in California, they still are at a deficit with how much they give. So they give more to the federal government in taxes than they get back in federal investments. So if we're playing that game, they deserve more if you were to make it. But blue states are happy to pay more in federal taxes to subsidize states like South Carolina, who pay less in federal taxes than they get back. They get more invested in federal programs than they pay into the federal government. And actually, USA Today reports South Carolina ranks first among states for the ratio of federal dollars it receives per federal tax dollar collected. The most, or one of the most dependent states. Whereas a state like California they rage against a lot is a donor state, funding states like California. So just thought that was interesting.
We disagree on how the money's spent means we shouldn't get money for...
But I can tell you this, brother. You're not gonna see one trans in a Mills gathering. No trans. Confederate flag sometimes. Nancy Mace.
Roads and bridges, isn't that kind of...
I love the people. I'm just saying her, right? Okay, good.
Hypocritical, that's ironic.
I think I'm more asking, so you agree then if you think it's okay for politicians who don't vote for them
federal
to
government,
take credit for...
It's literally our job to make sure that our states get the appropriations that they need when the money is assigned and spent, and grant funding.
Anybody, even when they vote against it.
I vote against almost every spending bill I've ever had before me because of the wasteful spending. This government has spent money on transgender surgeries for kids. It spent money on...
I'm not saying yes, I'm saying yes on I knew she was going to bring up something trans. Tell me. All right, let me guess. I have watched the clip before, but tell me, are mice going to come up?
Putting men in women's prisons. We've spent over $26 million at the NIH to castrate mice and test them on a date rape drug. So I, of course, I'd
rather test those on them than people. Hey, mice need to be careful. All right? They need to learn. What was the mouse doing? Was it just drinking random drinks that were being handed to it? Keep track of your drinks, mice. Oh, she's almost certainly lying about that, but that's funny.
Vote against a bill that did something outrageous like that. But when there's money being appropriated by the federal government, it is literally our job to make sure that we help organizations, government entities, state and local, get those appropriations by supporting them with letters of support. And that's what my office says. That's literally part of the job of being a member of Congress. So maybe you're confused. Okay. You're very confused. And you're a raging Democrat, so raging leftist with that kind of questioning. And I would say as a woman, like, you might want to think about how you view other women and how you treat other women, the way that you question them, because women are going to lead this country off the brink, and conservative women. The first female president of this country is going to be a conservative woman, not some liberal like you.
Okay, again, just a question about...
So, I mean, utterly upsetting, because you don't want to cheapen allegations like that, right? And there are plenty of examples when someone is being anti-women, woman. But people like Nancy Mace, when they throw it around like that, they cheapen such a phrase. And I do think she thinks she's being like mental jujitsu, because liberals are sensitive to that, right? And so if she throws that at us, then we'll glitch out and be like, oh shoot, well, if that question's, and my advice to her is like, just try different ones. You know what I mean? Like, keep it fresh and be like, oh really, you think it's weird that? So the point first, before getting to that explanation, the point she's making is, hey, even if I don't want to vote for the whole bill, if I fight for something to be in it or for the implementation to benefit South Carolina, that's still good. And there's some truth to that, to be clear. But of course it should be called out when really good things, and the bills that she was referencing as a whole in the Inflation Reduction Act, the infrastructure bill, were just net good. And so to vote against it entirely is something she should be criticized for. And then to run around taking credit for the things that were only made possible by that legislation, of course, should be called out. It's not that you can't not vote for it and still get good things for your constituents, but there is some hypocrisy there. But if she's going to keep trying this defense, it can't just be that one. She needs to like roll out other ones. Nancy Mace, why is it that you are supportive of Trump's horrible agenda to rip away healthcare for millions of Americans? And she should respond, that's transphobic, I'll have you know. You're actually a transphobe. And I think that you, with a dash of homophobe, and actually, you hate Guatemalan people. Like, just kind of sprinkle things in there and see what lands. Because if you do the one bit too frequently, it's like, oh, she says everything, any criticism of her is anti-women. But you could kind of throw it around and like, you must hate non-binary folks. Just like try different ideas is maybe the thought. Now, I told you I was going to show you what she's gone viral for in the past. I wanted to watch this clip again. Can we please? I know we've watched it so many times, but it's my favorite in the sense that it makes me so annoyed. But this was her getting asked. Again, she doesn't handle just normal questions very well. This was her getting asked, oh, can I address too? Does she really believe the first female president is going to be a Republican in this Republican Party? Really, Nancy? Really? That would be a shocker. And there are some of those MAGA candidates out there who go, women, we just covered one on the show. Miley Biggs previously said women should not be in elected office. That's how regressive her views are. Women should not be in elected office, she says. And now she's running for elected office. It's just, so you could very well see a Republican candidate running on like, women need to just stop being whatever the right-wing viewpoint is at that time, and themselves become president on that agenda. You're seeing it a lot in right-wing media where you'll have a woman or people of different identity groups who their whole job is to diminish and demean their own identity group, but that's their platform. It's mind-boggling. But regardless, here was Nancy Mace getting asked, when are you going to have a new town hall? And she was not happy.
I do them every year. Every year? You want to keep going?
Are you going to do any more this
year? Do you want to keep going and keep harassing me? You could have gone to a dozen town halls last year.
I asked if you're doing any more this year. It was one simple question.
Yeah.
Are you doing a town hall?
I've already done one. I'll do plenty more.
Are you doing any more this year? It was a simple question.
You're always invited.
Okay, sweet. Well,
and by the way, I voted for gay marriage twice.
What does that have to do with me?
So I'm just saying, it has everything to do with you.
You think everything everything about me has to do with gay marriage.
I do,
That's
absolutely.
your first stance when you speak with me.
Absolutely.
There's no other humane
If you want to get in my
conversation
face
you can
about
have
town
me.
halls, you should have shown
There's
up to
no
one
other
last
humane
year.
thing you can talk about me just saying, oh, I support gay marriage.
Yeah,
That's
because you're getting in my face about a town hall. You could.
Yeah, he's not in your face. That's a good. Why she vote against the infrastructure bill? I voted for gay marriage, so that's homophobic. Maybe she should give that one a try. I don't know. She's throwing everything at the wall. My goodness. Please help South Carolina. Don't elect Nancy Mace.